Welcome back, everyone. Today, Jeremy and I are right here, and we're ready to talk to you about Elden Ring.
Yes.
We're not going to take too much of your time. We're actually just going to dive right into the campaign page, talk a little bit about the game, but talk mostly about the value proposition that they've got on here.
Yes.
We actually, if you watch Chit Chat, I think you probably heard us mention that we were invited to go take a look at it. Neither of us made that trip, but...
No.
We have gathered a lot of information about the game. We've watched some videos.
Yes.
We've looked at the campaign page. So we're here to break it down for you. Jeremy, are you backing?
So we are going to talk our way through this today.
Yeah.
You know, because, and this is the reason why we're kind of doing this video, both fans of Elden Ring.
Oh, yeah.
Both interested in the campaign. I probably more than you, which is like me because I like carrot on a stick, love dark themed games, not just Elden Ring, love dark themed games. I do like my share of big miniature games and really thematic games. And I think Steam Forge really pushes that. Results may vary
Yes,
on
for
that.
sure.
But definitely I'm digging this theme, of course, the IP. Elden Ring, best game of the year. If you God of War, this one. So I'm playing with it, but the sticker shock is there, and
it's big. I mean, it's like many campaigns these days. It's not really.
Yeah.
I don't get the sense that it's much bigger than a lot of campaigns in terms
Right.
of the amount of money. But what they're offering here is compelling to me thus far, anyway. As an Elden Rings fan. As you know, not the biggest fan of these types of games, although I'm warming up to them these days.
Yeah.
But it is not my wheelhouse. You play a lot of these types of games. These
Yes,
games
I do. Yes, I do.
appeal to you. This one appeals to me in particular, and until just the last couple days when I've really started looking into it, I didn't know about what some of the things this game was doing that really has me interested. And to give just the briefest of overviews, if you haven't watched any of that content, the Gloomhavens, the Oathsworns, all those types of games of the world, there is sort of exploration and there's combat. But I think the interesting thing here is they've abstracted the exploration of an open world in a really interesting way because you're building this map. The combat...
By player choice, building
yes,
the table.
by player choice. Very, very cool, I think, because it gives you the feeling of discovery that you wouldn't otherwise get on a static map. And then on top of that, the battles are also a little different because they don't take place in sort of the dungeon with lines of sight and stuff like that.
Right.
It's almost like a dodgeball court with a
Right.
battle line in the middle with the enemies on one side, player characters on the other. And there's a lot of really cool strategic, puzzly decisions to be made in terms of positioning and stance. Not only for you, but with respect where the enemies are. But the coolest thing about all of that, Jeremy, is... The one thing that I saw in the video that made me go, okay, I might have to back this now, is the way that those two things were integrated. And in most of these games, you're either in story mode or exploration mode, and then you go into battle mode. In this game, each individual player at the table can go into battle mode while the other players are still exploring. So everyone has this cool quest book that you open up and you go to a token on the map while you're exploring. It says, oh, you're in battle now. Go to page 2. You flip it open. On your turns from that point forward, you're in battle mode. So you keep going around the table, and when it's another player's turn, if they're in exploration mode, they're exploring. In fact, I believe it's possible for one of them to even get into a different battle.
Yes, you can just go into the battle. Yeah, you can go into a different battle. So it's interesting.
And so it doesn't make everyone kind of wait until a battle's over. You just when it comes back to your turn, you're still in the battle, or until you're done, and then you're back into exploration. And then they've woven in a lot of the really cool things about Elden Ring, where there's tokens you can collect, and on your turn you could use one of those tokens to sort of effectively teleport into another player's battle, which is really, really cool. And in fact, you kind of effectively lose your turn when you're going around the table, and you activate on that other player's turn because they're sort of managing the battle, if you will, until it's over, and then you're both back to exploration. I don't know. That in and of itself made me feel okay, if I was to lock myself in a room with game designers for a week and go, what's the best way we can come up to kind of do Elden Ring from 30,000 feet? that feels like a pretty good solution, in my opinion. I don't know. It sounded really cool.
Yeah, I think for me, I'm looking at some of the things that worry me a little bit. So, for example, I'm taking a look at this exploration in this world. How dry is that going to get after several plays? I don't mind starting a campaign over. I started Kingdom Death Monster several times, but I'm a different gamer than I was before, and I have different things pulling me around. And I want to know if I do get all the way deep into this and go, hey, I'm playing this with my game group, but I'm also playing this by myself, and I want to switch it up a little bit. I did that with Oathsworn, and I kind of liked what I was doing there. It was 2 separate campaigns. I was playing them at the same time, but I was playing one way and playing one the other way with different characters. And I want to know that, like, I play the same scenario again. Is it going to feel different, or is it that I'm just placing tiles differently because I strategically want to place the tiles? There's also a pressure mechanic in the game. So you have to complete objectives or go towards the objective. Otherwise, you lose these kind of timing tokens.
Yeah.
And I worry about, especially for people who are trying to be accessible into this game, that's going to be an issue because they don't necessarily know how like time-based pressure mechanics work in the board game space, not in the video game space. They're very used to that stuff. But I worry about that being a thing. I also do worry about some Soulsy things they'll be hit or miss. Like I worry about in the combat is the stamina mechanic of playing cards, and not having cards. Is that too much, too rigid as far as like when you have boss battles? In the battle part of the game, you also lay out initiative cards, and that's like Aeon's End where it could go sideways, where you could have the boss go 2-3 times, and then you go last. Well, they came up with a mechanic where wherever you are on that battle line, you'll get different benefits, like extra attack if you're up front. In the middle, you get, extra card draw or something like that. Or if you're in the back line, you get defense, you get an extra card draw. They figured that part out. I just worry, like, if it's going to get dry, and are we relying on the enemies just to be different enough to make it more exciting? And that's always a thing that you can't feel until you get the game. Even when you watch a full playthrough of the game, you're kind of sus until you're getting your hands on it. It's like Tainted Grail, where like in practice it sounded super cool, but when you play it, it's grindy. And then I played Dark Souls, and even though they streamlined it, it still felt grindy. So I'm worried about this game maybe feeling grindy, but Dark Souls worlds are grindy. So
That's
it's
true.
like, it's a weird thing. Maybe they learned from the press and they changed it up, but I'm also worried about that because I want replayability. I want to be excited about it, but I also don't want too much of the grind of the game to be implemented into this game. Yeah. So there's some concerns. There's some major concerns, but it's because we don't have it. We don't get to play it.
Exactly. I think those are fair concerns, having not played it. A couple things that give me hope in that respect.
Hope. Wow, here we go. Go in.
As it relates to that grind.
You said hope. It's like
I wouldn't expect a lot of replayability from a game like this. Like, for instance, if I'm playing, I don't see myself ever as someone who's going to replay Gloomhaven or an Oathsworn after having experienced it. Now, with that said, this one, with the way the map is kind of built by the players, with the various things that kind of come out, and like, I might get into a battle, we might replay it again, someone else could get into that battle, and someone else could join them instead of the last time no one joined them. So there's a lot of variables that I think could make them feel very fresh. Not to mention, one of the cool things, too, that I felt was very sort of Elden Ring, there are some sub-quests that can come in that you can kind of work towards. And like you said, those timing tokens, if you work towards them too much in the scenario where they're introduced, you might be burning time because you're not making progress on the main objective.
Right.
But these sub-objectives will carry over from scenario to scenario so that you can make progress over scenarios so that ultimately you can accomplish this thing and get a new aspect to the game introduced after having completed that quest that carried things over, which I thought was a really interesting thing. And I think that, too, will make things feel a little fresh because after let's say scenario 1 introduces a thing like that, in Scenario 2, you're not only dealing with the things in and of themselves of Scenario 2, but now you've got that other subquest that you unlocked that you're kind of like, that's a carrot dangling out in front of you going, remember this? You can do this, and I wonder what's going to happen if you do this. Because there's a lot of little things that can lead to, giving you a leg up during the boss encounters, things like that I think will feel fresh. But again, like you said, we don't know because until we play it, you just really don't know.
My other area of concern is for people who have that one on the box. I'm a solo player by design, and Anyway, I'm programmed to like solo games. I love them. They're my directive. But what I worry about is because when you play solo in the game, you often, summon things, right?
Yeah.
You summon things to help you. And you're going to be doing that in this game. I just want to see what that feels like and works like. That's all. I'm sus because I want to be sus because of the cost proposition here and how deep I go into this without touching it. Let's just go to the page. I'll talk my way through it. We'll talk our way through it.
All right, I'm here at the top of the page. They've got this organized in an interesting fashion. Of course, right at the top here, they have some of these FOMO elements. These are a little miniature and some content, as well as 2 expansions that are all exclusive to the campaign. It looks like you won't be able to get these, period, outside of the campaign. But down here, what's that?
No, I was going to say, so they have, there's when you sign up for email, they always have these things. Sign up for the email, you get this thing, and then people can't get it later. Or they have to pay $10 or $20 later on to get it. I can't stand that, but it's like becoming a thing. Yeah. And I wish some publishers would take that out because even though there's 35,000 people who knew, there's also the potential 1,000 that didn't. And
that's true.
That just stinks for them,
Yeah, that's fair enough. I mean, I don't know what these expansions necessarily do. They don't seem as significant as the standalone expansions, which we'll get to in a second.
Yeah.
But one of the most interesting things I found was this entry-level pledge, which is not even the quote-unquote core box of the game. It is one of the standalone expansions. And as the entry-level pledge, you can get just the Weeping Peninsula expansion as a standalone thing.
Right.
Now this is $89 US, which is probably, obviously their effort to here, if you're not sure, just try this. And obviously there's some other options to get the other standalone stuff, the core box and the other standalone. But then, correct me if I'm wrong, if someone did this, they may not ever be able to get these expansions up here that we just talked about, right?
Yeah, so this is a tricky one. So let's just go back to Dark Souls. So Dark Souls just came out with a 2nd edition. They came out with these 2 boxes. They're small, we're going to call them Slim Souls. We're going to call them Slim Souls, okay? So you got these smaller boxes that are their own world, contained world. You can play them in a game night. Smaller condensed box, less content, but enough content to play as a campaign. And they did this with Monster Hunter. They came up with a pledge. Now Kickstarters have more content. So this one is sort of like that too. It's like, hey, we gave you 1 big monster, maybe some guys, and you can play this and you're good. And I'm thinking just for this one, the same idea, because you're talking about introducing people to this game or this world. And I'm thinking this appeals more to the people who are kind of crossovers from video games, who haven't, who are interested, and they go like $400. You got to be kidding me. $150. You got to be kidding me.
That's what I paid for my PS5.
Right. I don't even pay for the special edition for my God of War game or Elden Ring. Like, I didn't pay for that. Who even pays for that? Yeah. So here I'm looking at this price, and it's shocking. And when I look at the 20-hour campaign, I'm already kind of off because it's not the full game as far as the Elden Ring world. Sure. But it's also like a contained part of it. And, it's still more than the price of the game. So it's a comfortable pledge. It makes sense. But I'm still like, I don't think it's enough, to win me. So, for me, I didn't even consider this, David. I didn't even think about considering this.
No, for this one, if I were to back this, I don't think I would get it at this level.
You wouldn't get it to the table. You wouldn't care enough. This is not enough investment into it. That's the scary part. It's FOMO. It's not enough investment for you to get in as a gamer, like a gamer.
It does give you a fair amount, though. like this for $90. I mean, 20 hours
I don't feel
of gameplay.
like that.
You don't think so?
I don't think so. And then when I look at it, it says that. It's just like a video game. When somebody says, like, you have 180 hours of gameplay, sometimes it's just not that. You know, like they'll say 40-hour campaign, you play it in 20 hours, it's done. So I feel like board games do that as well. They'll put that number in there. It can take up to, but it's not really. So
yeah, that's true.
You know,
that's fair.
You know, it's just, I feel like board games do that too. And that's why this is just not as attractive.
And it is, so it basically gives you quest books for this whole, this portion of the campaign, as well as 4 tarnished characters. And then we've got the core pledge. Now this is the one, in fact, let's take a look. What's the breakdown of what people have backed right now? So that entry-level pledge has 359 backers.
As it should.
Although that's, I mean, it's not a lot compared to the total backers. The next level up, the one we're talking here, is Core Pledge. This is $180 roughly, and this is, I think, Lingrave, the main hub of the beginning of the world. This has quite a bit more content than the expansion. This is like the one aspect that has the most content, probably. This one has 1955 backers. Still probably not the most, right?
So,
but it's 40 out. This is double the amount of campaign.
Double the amount of content. So there's another trick to this. With this, you got the Alexander dude, Iron Fisted Alexander. You got the ring, Lindvar. You also have a full other $100 value, which they're unlocking and showing you as we go along. So there's like a carrot on the stick with that as well. So it's like you're locked in. You know you're going to get like $100 extra of something.
I see. I didn't see that was missing in that first one.
So that's a part right there where they're kind of like I said, dripping that out. It keeps you on the page. Yeah, you know, like I get it. It kind of makes you make choices every day. Like I've been looking at this campaign every day, waiting. Look, what's the unlock? What am I getting? Like, what am I doing? You know, that's the key. When I look at this pledge, now we're talking. I like it, but then as we scroll down past this pledge, which is good, solid 40 hours. I don't want to overcommit all the time like I think I do. You know, you got 3 other expansions, basically. You got a whole nother Stormveil campaign as well. And then you have 2 very exclusive monsters that are separate and exclusive to the campaign. Now, I'll tell you right now, I don't want to skip all this, but I'll tell you right now what they're probably going to do is they're probably going to sell those on their website, which is not retail. And that's what publishers are doing now. They're sliding that over to their website. So you might be able to get it. It's just that it's going to be higher price. And that's part of the FOMO. That's part of the FOMO because that may not happen. They may watch this video and go like, no, that's not happening. So you never know.
Here's the amazing thing is going down to that all-in pledge, which again, so this comes with the core box, which is Limgrave. It comes with Weeping Peninsula. It comes with Stormveil Castle, which is the other standalone expansion. And it has those 2 other things, the dragon and the Erd Tree, as well as basically all the content, obviously.
This can't even be in the picture. 2,000 cards. They can't put it all in the picture. Okay?
No, exactly. This is a lot of content.
Holy sleeves.
Over 4,500 backers on that one, which is impressive for a $430, $450 pledge.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's a lot of people willing to spend that money for this.
So we just came off a month where all these big games came. They've come in, and these are games that have been from 2-3 years ago. I still have Aeon's Trespass coming in. We have Frosthaven, Darkest Dungeon, Massive Darkness 2. Like all these games have just come in. Big Euros have just come in. It's all still coming at the end of this year. Games just came in the busiest month last month. And here we are with this game that says, hey, another 500. I'm shopping for Christmas, Black Friday. I only have 10 days to decide on this. That's why I'm on this page every day, because I'm not sure if I can cake out $500. And when we say $500, the shipping numbers look pretty good if you're in the U.S. You're in the U.S.
They have an
Australia, all Canada, you know what's up. You have to make a serious financial choice. But for us in the U.S., the prices are pretty comfortable. So I'm like, all right, but it's still $500, man. I mean, I have money to blow on something if I wanted to, but this is testing the limits. This is testing the full limits. I rarely go all in because of stuff like this, whereas I see the value. Although the value is there because it's saying the MSRP is heavily discounted. It's just that I see the value and what I will get out of this game in that $170-ish pledge versus like this, it's really pushing it. A lot of that plastic is exciting, but it's like also worrying me because I don't know if I can afford that. And I would be walking the line between stuck with it and just trying to play it out and see if I love it is that much, or really just getting a box and then selling it, which is not something I like to do.
Yeah.
I don't like to do that. I want to love what I got. And this would be a rare thing. I don't do all-ins. So even when publishers send us stuff to cover, like I don't want the all-in. I'm like, don't send me the all-in. Just send me the box, the core box.
Yeah.
Because that's the way I'm going to end up playing it the most. I'm not going to play the expansion the most. You know, like it's not like a board game with a mini expansion. These are big. You know, like with this Elden Ring, you're going to have two other campaigns plus the big campaign they have. Like, is that something you're going to do?
Exactly.
On top
that's what I have to say. For me personally, I mean, there's one half of me that's like, if I get this, I want it all, just from the sheer got to catch them all FOMO perspective.
Yes.
But if I'm realistic and look at how much time I have to play various games, again, very first world problems here.
Right.
I could almost bet large amounts of money that there's no way I would ever be able to spend the time to play every piece of content that this thing has to offer. So I'm torn.
Think about it like this. Okay, so for me, lifestyle games are a threat to your other games. Like there's already the fact that you haven't played your other games. Now you have, I'm talking to you folks, I'm talking to me. I'm you. I am you. I'm a solo gamer. I spend a ridiculous amount of money on these games. I get hyped for the fantasy themes, space themes. I got Stars Arcarius just like you. I got Frosthaven just like you. I've put all this money out there, my money, not the publisher sending this stuff to me. I think Darkest Dungeon was sent to me. But like I have to commit pretty much lifestyle gaming, only game I play, to each one of those games. Now, 2-3 years down the line, I may not have played 3 out of the 7 that I got. You know, plus Aeon's Trespass, a full-on KDM level lifestyle game. Within that time, I will have the KDM Gambler's Chest, or I'll be 50 years old and I won't have it. But I will have all that. And am I having another 500 like content that I'm excited about? Oh, plus Primal. Forgot about Primal. Sengo Kenshin. You know, I'm into this stuff, dude. Like, I'm into this stuff. So it's like, but people are in it with me. I'm looking over to my right, still haven't played all the Solomon Kane, still haven't played all the Skyrim. Like, we're in a great golden time of gaming. And then Elder Scrolls is coming out from Too Many Bones. I'm saying all this because we're all on board. You are me, I'm you. And we're backers. What are we doing? Are we, like, that's why I'm scared. I'm scared for myself. I'm like, what am I doing? What's too much? And I'm not picking on Elden Ring, but I'm picking on Elden Ring because it's right now and I have to make this.
No, it's kind of come at a tipping point for you, obviously.
Right, it's at a tipping point
where
right
you're
now.
like, okay, enough is enough, or maybe just this one last one.
It's not Elden Ring. It's this $176 to $200 versus $400 to $500. That's what it is. It's not Elden Ring. That's my thing. You know, like here we are examining the game. I can examine the game, but I'm also looking at that cost proposition. And for myself, who has the money, and I'm good, still, there's limits.
Yeah, we want to be completely transparent. Obviously, we cover lots of games. We have a channel that covers board games. It's entirely possible that we may get ultimately a copy of this sent to us, but we have no idea if that's going to happen or not. So we do have to make this decision, like, do we back this or not? And I have to say, from my perspective, I don't have all those games. I have some of the games Jeremy just mentioned. I'm even less likely than he is to play those games.
Yes.
The thing for this one, though, is that it's Elden Ring.
It's Elden Ring. That's the thing, man.
I
That's
played all the way through Elden Ring, the video game, earlier this year, which is not that it's probably
That's a task.
It was probably 120 plus hours of my time, late into the wee hours of the morning, and I don't typically even do that with video games. So the IP is definitely calling my name. And then after, like we said, looking at some of how this game is built, how it's designed, and how it plays, I'm finding it more and more compelling. So I got to be careful about even just sitting here talking about it, because I'm more and more likely to get at least some aspect of it.
I'm likely gonna pledge for this. It's gonna take until the last minute to convince me. I want to see the unlocks, but it just seems like a good value where it's at in the middle. And I don't know if I want or need more than that, even though I look at that big core, dragon, I'm like,
you're talking about the
core? Yeah, because the core does seem like it has a lot of value, but like having that big dragon, I have big dragons coming in primal. I have Arena of the Contest.
Oh, that's fair.
Have Darkest. Fair. I have those coming. I can fight my monsters and dragons. I think I'm good there. Could use a little bit more cardboard in my life and less of these gigantic things that can barely fit back in the box. I mean, but I'm not going there. All I'm going to say is like, I think that's where I'm at. And that's why I don't tell you what to do with your money. In any of my previews, I say that all the time. Like, I'm trying to inform the heck out of you, but I'm not going to tell you to just buy stuff. I think the best value, though, is that core pledge. Even though it's not as attractive, everybody's going to the 500. That's where I think I'm at. I think that's my cap for this product.
I think that's probably the best choice for me too, if I were to back this. It's the most realistic in terms of, in fact, I mean, there's a good chance, how many hours of gameplay is that? 40 hours? There's a good chance I could get that, and I wouldn't even play all the way through that necessarily.
That's the key. That's the key. So, that's the key. You could get your fill of the game. I call it getting your fill. Like, I finished Gloomhaven, but like, I put a good 60 hours into it, which is less than a lot. Some of these really big gamers are into it. I was good. I'm good. I played a lot of Gloomhaven. I was so fine. Whereas I put like KDM, I put 100 plus hours in that. But like, those times are gone. And so I need to be smart.
Yeah,
except
it's
for
hard.
Frosthaven. It's going to be a little different.
Like you said.
Frosthaven is a little different. But it's got to be smart.
These are lifestyle decisions in a world where we're playing so many games. So it becomes it does become challenging. Again, very first world problem, but it is the challenge is real there. Jeremy, you have anything else you wanted to share about this? Or
No. I just think it was good. It was worth taking a look at. We kind of deep dived into the cost proposition, which is really I really wanted to get into. But how interesting this game is, I do think it's interesting. I mean, like I watched almost 2 hours of gameplay of this game, so I really am interested in what's going on here. I think it's thematic. I think it hits what Elden Ring is. It's gamified, of course, so you have to make concessions and changes to make it work. So I'm excited about what I'm looking at. I'm looking at it every day, for God's sake. So
well, if you guys have any other questions about this, and of course you can just go to the campaign page yourself. But if you want to carry on the discussion that we started here, make some comments in the comments below. Ask some questions. We'll get down there and talk with you a little bit more about it. Until next time, of course, make sure everyone has fun at the table, no matter what game you're playing, whether it's lifestyle or not.
Yeah.
And we'll see you next time.